Hey, Gory, you want to go on a date?
Yeah?
Let's go see Candyman.
See what?
Candyman.
What?
Candyman.
I can't hear you.
I'm just talking about... Hey, will you be mine? Hi, I'm Danny Nightmare.
I'm Gory B Movie.
And we're Horror Addicts. And we just got done seeing the new Candyman. Reboot, refresh, it's kind of more of a sequel, but it's new.
I think it's important when going into these reboots, sequels, that you don't expect it to be better than or as good as the original. Like, as best as you can, view it as its own entity.
Though it's hard because, you know, they usually just give them the exact same name that they're being a sequel to. Like,
okay, what is up with that?
Halloween, I guess Child's Play was a reboot, but Halloween was a sequel, this one's a sequel, but...
Scream is going to be called Scream.
Is it like a hipster thing to do, just to be annoying, or...
Or they put the on it, like the Suicide Squad.
Like...
Which, when you're talking about movies, it just makes it really annoying.
Maybe it's an algorithm thing. Like, you had a theory on that.
Yeah, I think my theory is it's an algorithm thing, that it makes it more searchable on the internet, but I don't know. If you guys know, let us know.
Or it's just a weird trend that I think some hipsters started, but why? It's not a fun trend. Because then I have to explain which year and which reboot it is, because like if I say Halloween, you're like, well, the original, or the 2018, or the Rob Zombie. It's like,
Halloween's especially confusing, but thankfully there are only four Candyman movies. Really only, I think, a few worth talking about. We don't really talk about Day of the Dead. You know, I like Candyman 2.
Farewell to the
1.
Flesh.
Farewell to the Flesh, man.
A lot of good kills in that one.
It's cheesy.
A lot of killing.
Yeah. He doesn't waste time with all that acting.
Yeah.
If you caught that League of Gentlemen reference, I appreciate you.
Local people only can get that reference. Alright, well, so this takes place, it's kind of a sequel to the first. The baby from the first movie, he's all grown up now, and they do mention Helen, they do mention the other Candyman Tony Todd played, and they also have other Candymans. They tell you there's actually a whole hive of them, so that's pretty cool. But they have their brand new one, and he had an injustice like most Candymen do, and they're going to play on that.
It's really building on the mythology that we got in the first one in a good way. I mean, as much as I think Farewell to the Flesh is fun, it really manipulated the mythology a little bit. This one's basically saying that this is like an urban legend, and there's more than one, you know, origin story for this. Like, there was the original Candyman with Tony Todd, and then there have been other ones since then. They're usually men who've experienced some kind of injustice and died in a horrible way.
Yeah. Obviously, like, race takes place in this, but I don't feel like the message completely ruins it by any means. They're not, like, just standing on a soapbox saying their message. It's a good message, and they get it across, but it comes off very organically, so you can really get behind it.
It's very relevant right now with, you know, Black Lives Matter and the things going on in the news. I think it's an important message, and I like messages in movies. I just don't like to be beaten over the head with them. This movie does not do that. This isn't like the Black Christmas movie, which again had a great message. It put the message before the story.
Yeah, this one has a good story, and that message fits in there nicely, so I'm all for that. And
I mean, you can see that in how the filmmaker filmed this movie. A lot of care was put into how the movie was filmed. It's beautifully filmed. There's some really creative camera shots, some really cool effects. There's an effect in there that I really like because it reminded me of The Craft, where at one point one of the characters is looking in a mirror and his reflection moves just slightly. Like, you might not even notice it on the first watching, but that is an effect I remember seeing in The Craft. I thought that was really clever. I also really like a lot of the scenes that are filmed from the point of view of a mirror. They're filmed in the reflection of a mirror. Mirrors are used to great effect in the cinematography. It's nice and dark, so it really builds on this like atmosphere and mood. They don't really use the classic Candyman theme up until the credits, but the music they used up until then was good. It's not as good as that killer theme. I wish we would have had more of that, but it is good. This is a very atmospheric and moody film.
It's very artistic. The shots are beautiful. There's like a personally a kill that I really liked is the camera pulled away and it's from a distance, but it looks really good. But there's also like the cool, creepy little paper puppets. There is a lot of art. In fact, there are art dealers in this. And as far as horror movie about art dealers, this is way better than that stupid Velvet Buzzsaw movie. So
Velvet Buzzkill, if you ask me.
yeah, that sucked. But no, it's a great art horror.
And when big cities are used in a film, it's interesting how filmmakers go about it. There are films that will try to make the city look, really gritty, which, is adding to whatever their story they're trying to tell. And this one, it's beautifully filmed. I mean, Chicago looks beautiful. Even when they go into some of the, grittier parts of the city, it looks gorgeous, especially that scene you mentioned where they were pulling back, just the lights, the city and everything. Mm-hmm. It's a really just gorgeous film.
Yeah. So, shot beautifully. I think the acting's pretty well done.
Oh, yeah, I think the acting's great. Shout out to Vanessa Williams. So, Vanessa Williams, she was the mom of the baby in the original. Dog. They bring her back. She was also in Melrose Place, but she has not aged a day.
No, right. She looks about the same age as she did in that original Candyman movie, and that's impressive.
I'm terrible at remembering a lot of the other names, but just because his name's really long and I don't want to butcher it. But he was also in Striking Vipers, the guy who plays Anthony, the main character. The woman who plays his girlfriend is great.
Yeah, he was, that Striking Vipers, Black Mirror, and, this has a lot to do with Black Mirror, so there you go.
Yeah, it loops right back around.
Yep. Unfortunately, Tony Todd did age a little bit. I mean, I'm not throwing shame, but this movie kind of has to CGI him. And that's my only problem. But it wasn't bad, and it's not quick. It was pretty quick. There's also a lot of bees going around everywhere, so I wish there was a little more Tony Todd. And honestly, I know he's a ghost. He can't age, so that's why they did the CGI. But I would have just preferred if they just showed him.
I think my issue with the Tony Todd cameo, and that's really all it is because so much was made of he's coming back and he's playing Candyman. He's really not. Our primary Candyman in this movie is not Tony Todd. It's a different actor. I don't know his name. He does a brilliant job, but just how much was made of Tony Todd returning to this role, he's in maybe 3 or 4 seconds. And to make him look as young as he did in the original, they do some of that de-aging CGI, and it doesn't look as good as it could have.
Yeah. But, I mean, even though he's not the main Candyman of this movie, they still say he's the OG and make a big deal about him. So I love how it praises that original movie.
Yeah, I also, without giving you too many spoilers, we mentioned there is kind of a hive. You can see that in the trailer here, too, that there's more than one Candyman. I don't understand why Helen isn't included in that. She's very much a part of this mythology. I don't see why she's not included as, I know she's not a man, but...
Probably just because you don't say Candyman to summon her. You actually say Helen, so...
I guess
But
so.
The movie does acknowledge her, and I do like that at least, but... Maybe because she was actually trying to be good.
I mean, I like how this one plays with the whole urban legend aspect of Candyman, which is basically what the whole first movie was about. Mm-hmm. And I loved how that movie ended with Helen being the continuation of that legend. And this movie even begins with that urban legend. I like how it shows that urban legends change over time. They mutate, and the story, if there wasn't a truth to it, a lot of that truth gets lost as the story is retold and retold and retold. I just wish she was more a part of that hive, like she had a place in it, because there are characters that they don't even really go into that are part of that, and being that she's a character we're familiar with, I kind of would have liked to see her included.
Yeah, I think so, but maybe just because she went rogue or something. I don't know. We'll have to find out. There might be another one. So this one sets up to where there could be sequels. So, and I liked it, so I would be looking forward to that if there is.
Really like this, and I know it's been kind of hit or miss with a lot of people, but I think it's just beautifully directed, beautifully filmed, really quality acting. It does drag a little bit about halfway through. You're kind of like, all right, it gets a little repetitive. People say Candyman 5 times and then there's a kill. What I will say is to kind of help get you through that, there's some really good body horror in this, which I didn't expect from a Candyman movie. It's certainly something I expect from a Clive Barker movie. Yeah. And even though this isn't a Clive Barker movie, this is a Nia DaCosta movie, it was really cool that they brought that element into this film. Great body horror, some cringe-worthy, cringeworthy in the horrific sense, like, oh God, oh, don't touch that kind of way.
Don't pick at it.
Don't pick at it. Really just some awful stuff. Some great kills. They do use a bit of CGI in the kills, but I think it's done well enough that it blends with the practical that they used.
Yeah.
Some great suspense.
They have a lot of good gore. Some of it's off camera, but that's fine because, you know, if you're just gonna hint at it, I'm okay with that. This is not the movie where I need to, like, see a lot of it. Like you said, a lot of the body horror will make up for it anyways, so if you're gonna do it right.
My only other complaint was I don't dislike the ending, but I don't think it stuck that landing as well as I would have liked. I mean, the movie was going really, really well. Like I said, it did drag in a couple places, but that ending, it just felt a little rushed. And then, you know, we have the cameo we mentioned. They're just, I don't know, I think it needed a little bit of finesse, but it's not bad. It's not a bad ending. But instead of some of that padding we got in the middle, they could have trimmed that down and devoted a little bit more time to the ending that I think really deserved it.
Yeah. I think the ending could have been a little better. I think it sets up, like I said, maybe that's why I am looking forward to maybe a possible sequel, because that ending got me kind of excited, but then it just ended. I was like, want a little more.
So here's my question for you. If they made a sequel, would you want more of the Candyman that's primarily featured in this? Which I will say, I like that he actually gave kids candy. I never thought that the honeycomb thing was enough for him to be called Candyman. I mean, it's a minor nitpicky complaint, but I liked that he gave the kids candy. Do you want more of that one? Or one of the other Candyman in this hive? Or a whole new Candyman?
I would want maybe it to start with another new one, but then basically, or just give us a little more of a backstory, because with those cool paper stories, they kind of tell you some of the backstories on some of these, but maybe I'd like to see a little live action on one of those ones. And then mostly I just want Tony Todd.
I think I would like maybe somebody who has a personal like memory of one of the other ones, because like one of them was a child. I didn't quite understand that one, if it tied into one of the characters in this film or not. I was looking for, you know, more story on some of them. Maybe somebody could tell one of those stories, like how this one introduced us to Helen's story.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, maybe a new Candyman, or maybe one of the Candymen from this one.
Yeah, I would like one of those ones, but then I would still like Tony Todd.
And I loved those shadow puppets. Those were really cool.
Very artistic,
and creepy.
Very
and I don't know, it's just like the Babadook. Like, it's just a cool image. It's creepy and
yeah, it's very Babadook. Even though it's not claymation, I still got kind of an almost Tim Burton vibe from it. Like classic Tim Burton that I really enjoyed back in the day. So yeah, I think this was beautifully made. It's not a perfect movie, but I wasn't expecting it to be. But I don't know, I recommend you see it.
It exceeded my expectations, and, you know, just so you know where I'm coming from this, you know, I just came home from Crypticon, talked to some friends, and a lot of friends were like, the new Candyman. I'm like, oh, really? I was looking forward to that. This exceeded my expectations. Granted, my expectations were pretty reasonable. I didn't expect this to be bad. I expected this to be, you know, well made, but not as good as the original. And I think of the Candyman franchise, if you want to call it that, this is definitely the second to the first. It's a quality film.
Yeah, and it should have a lot of good buzz about it.
I like what you did there. So yeah, I recommend it. I think it's definitely a film to watch. It's definitely a film that deserves discussion, and it's definitely one that I think is worthy of checking out in the cinema. So I give it a see it.
All right, we see it. But I mean, if anything, it was great to hear Tony Todd again.
Yeah, actually, so they brought him back, and he does a little bit of his voiceover, but they also brought back Virginia Madsen, who did a little bit of voiceover too, which was cool. But yeah, even though she's cool, nobody quite tops Tony Todd, dude. Like, there's no way you can hear that man's voice, and you just don't get like a little bit of a twitch in your nether regions. I don't care what your orientation is. Nobody can resist Tony Todd.
He's like the Barry White of horror.
Fuck yeah, he is.
All right.